In a major development for NATO's military support to Ukraine, the Netherlands has become the first country to purchase U.S. weapons under a new NATO financing mechanism called the Priority Ukraine Requirements List, or PURL. U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matthew Whitaker hailed the Dutch move as just the first of many, confirming that more allies are lining up to pool resources and supply urgently needed arms and ammunition to Ukraine. Speaking from Brussels, Whitaker emphasized that this collective action showcases NATO's unity and readiness to act, while also pointing to former President Trump's push for a ceasefire, warning of possible secondary sanctions on countries like China and India if they continue to fund Russia's war through oil purchases. Dutch and American troops have already conducted joint drills in Europe, signaling growing defense cooperation. As the war continues, NATO allies are stepping up pressure both militarily and diplomatically to bring the conflict to a negotiated end.
This announcement is regarding the Dutch and their purchase of the first package of equipment and munitions to be bought by the Dutch and to be provided through the NATO procedure. The Dutch are just the first of many. You're going to see a series of announcements in the coming weeks. When we announced this facility that allowed our NATO allies to buy U.S. equipment and provide that to Ukraine for their defense, we had a lot of our allies raise their hand and line up. A lot of them are coming together in groups to pool their money and their resources together to provide these armaments and munitions. And so, it's the whole purpose of NATO, and what makes this alliance the strongest is this platform we have to communicate amongst allies and to really talk about these issues and come up with solutions. Well, ultimately, there's not going to be a battlefield resolution of this war. It's going to have to be through diplomacy and through negotiation. What we're seeing on the battlefield is just a complete slaughter of soldiers on both sides, but especially on the Russian side. They appear to be willing to throw a lot of bodies and kill a lot of their fellow countrymen. But at the same time, President Trump wants this war to end. He knows we need a ceasefire and ultimately an enduring peace process and deal. And so it's going to be a negotiated resolution of this war. Nobody's going to win this war. Both sides are taking significant losses, and President Trump has identified that this will bring President Putin to the table to negotiate. And again, it's just one of the many things that we're able to do with the sanctions and several other cards that are yet to be played. Well, President Trump has announced that if this deadline comes and goes and there's no ceasefire and Russia is unwilling to end this war that's killing thousands of soldiers every single day, that he'll put secondary sanctions on the countries that are buying Russian oil. That includes China, India, and Brazil. And those countries are certainly subsidizing the war. They're providing the cash that Putin requires to continue the war effort, and President Trump sees that and has identified that as the next lever that's available to get this war to end and end the killing.